Okay, so we are doing a manicure on a new client today, and we're going to use something very subtle, this one that I have on my right hand, Stardust, but I'm going to do just one coat of this, and then first I'm going to put this coat underneath just to make the nails nice and even looking. I had a chance to look at this client's nails, and so her nails are healthy. There was no damage to the nails. The nails are not overfiled or anything like that, but they're very, very flexible. So this is the only time where I would recommend using a hardener. So if you can see that the nails are bending very, very easily. So they're not like mine. Mine are harder. So having nails too hard is not good either. So you want to have a good balance. But you see how they're bending? But the thumbs are not as bendy. So what I would do, the thumbs are actually perfect. I would use a hardener on these four, and then I wouldn't use it on the thumbs because you don't want the nails too hard, because then they become too brittle. So the hardener has to be used on a regular basis for it to make any difference. So I'm going to leave it up to the client if she wants to use it or not. But today I'm just going to use the OPI repair mode. That's going to just repair any broken bonds in the nail plate. It's going to help. But again, if you have damaged nails or anything like that, you can use this product for 6 days without any nail polish, and then use it once a week. So basically what I do is I remove my polish at the end of the 6 days, and then I put this on right away, and then the next day you can put another coat if you want to. And I give my nails a break of 1 day, and then I just redo the polish. I can actually see that the surface of the nail is quite shiny and not very porous. It just doesn't look very porous. And that's usually the case when people's nails are quite flexible. So now this product is not going to make the nails too hard. This is why I'm using on the thumbs. So this product repairs broken bonds, but it doesn't make extra bonds. Hardeners, like true hardeners, make actually additional bonds, and this is why they can sometimes be, they can over harden the nail, which is not good. So because this nail is quite short, we're just going to match the rest, match this nail. The strongest shape is one that kind of follows the shape of your nail bed. So something like this. And this nail, it's cracked here because the client had an accident with this finger. So probably, unfortunately, the matrix somewhere here got a little damaged, and it's just not producing the nail cells evenly, and this is why the nail is cracking. And by the way, a lot of people are asking, a lot of my viewers are asking if filing back and forth is okay, and it's absolutely okay. So I think it's because sometimes the nails have ridges this way. So people think that the fibers, the keratin fibers in the nail are running this way, but they're actually not running this way. So I'm not filing against the grain. The interesting thing is, from what I've read, is that the nails have, and I actually talk about it in my recent videos, but I'll tell you, why not? I have the time. So the nail plate is composed of approximately 100 layers of keratin, and not all the layers are the same. So the top 30% of the nail plate, when you look under microscope, it almost looks like a bunch of pancakes. So the cells are like little pancakes on top of each other, and they're not running in any particular direction. They're just there like that. The next layer, the middle layer, when you look under microscope, it actually shows a little bit linear design, but the fibers are running actually this way. And then, so actually the first layer of the nail, so the first 30% of the nail, is responsible for protecting the nail quite a bit. So it actually protects the nails from tearing. So this is why I don't recommend buffing. I mean, sometimes we buff a little bit to make the polish stick a little bit better. But removing shine is one thing, but continuously buffing the nail, it just removes layers, and it will remove that 30% of the nail that is responsible for protecting the lower layers from tearing. So it's very important to have that top layer of the nail. And I'm seeing a lot of nails with a lot of surface damage, and you can clearly see that pretty much half at least of the nail is gone, and people then they don't know what to do and how to fix their nails because their nails are breaking, and they're breaking because that top layer is gone, unfortunately. So just try to buff as little as you can and keep that first layer intact. So the middle layer, the 50% of the nail, like I said, it's made out of fibers that are running this way. And that layer of the nail actually has a lot of cross-linking, so that's what gives the nail strength as well. And then the bottom layer, 20%, again looks like little pancakes. So it really doesn't matter which way we are filing, because we're not filing against the grain. So the nails are not like wood that the grain goes this way. It doesn't. So you can file the way you want it, whatever is comfortable. I find actually staying on the nail and always filing almost like a violin, it gives the nails a nice shape. When you're filing like this, it gives the nail more of an uneven shape. So I prefer to do it this way, but do whatever works for you. So that part is done. So now we're going to work on removing the cuticle. So now first, before I remove the cuticle, I'm going to move the skin fold out of the way, which that exposes the cuticle. So very often people are saying that they're pushing cuticles back, but they're not really pushing the cuticles back, or maybe they are, I don't know. But all you want to do at this point is to move back or nudge back the living skin. This is all above the little stick, living skin. Cuticle is this white part. See this little cells? This is cuticle. This is not a cuticle. So I don't press really hard when I'm doing this. I actually want the cuticle to stay behind, to stay on the nail plate, so then I can remove it. I try not to like shove everything underneath the skin fold, because then you have, I don't know, just a lot of skin cells underneath that skin fold, which doesn't make sense. So just very gently with not a lot of pressure, I'm just feeling for the texture, feeling for the skin, and nudging gently. You don't want to be shoving this tool underneath the skin either, because that can hurt that area. And this is where the nail root is. It's in this area, so this is where the nail is growing. So you don't want to be digging there, because you can damage the nail permanently, the nail matrix permanently. So now I do, for my clients, usually a dry manicure, so I'm going to use an electric file. But if you're doing the manicures yourself, you absolutely don't have to use electric file. If you take care of your nails on a regular basis, like weekly, I recommend doing gentle manicures weekly and using carousel. There's not going to be a lot of cuticle left. The skin is going to be very nice and healthy, and there is going to be barely anything to do. So then you can just follow the manicures that I do, and I actually film my manicures to show you how easy they are. But on the clients is a different story, because sometimes they're just not using the creams on a regular basis, or the manicures are not done because they're not coming usually every week. So it's a little bit different. So again, pushing back, nudging back the living skin, and this is the cuticle. So I'm just going to smooth a little bit of the skin around the nails. Just one little stroke. It's very important to remember that you cannot, I don't know, I'm repeating myself, but this is so important. You cannot fix dry skin by filing it. So let's say if you have dry skin on your face, you're not gonna take a sandpaper trying to remove it somehow. Dry skin is lacking usually oils, and it's not like we have too much skin. It's just the skin that we have is lacking oils, and it's basically the cells are not glued together anymore and they just look dry. So using more oil and ingredients like urea is very good, humectants and things like that, protecting ingredients, is how you fix dry skin. So light exfoliation is okay, but I'm not trying to file until all the dry skin is gone. I'm just very gently exfoliating the skin. This one usually it's because we write with this finger, has a little bit more callus. It's normal. And the thing is, if you try to do too much all at once, the same goes for pedicures actually, you end up creating irritation, and when you create irritation, the skin actually grows thicker because it's trying to protect itself in the future from future irritation. So you're causing more harm than good, and you're causing this vicious circle where the skin keeps growing too much and you keep removing too much skin, and so on and so on. So this is very, very gentle, and the progress happens over time because the skin cannot heal itself in an hour that I'm doing the manicure, right? It takes actually up to, I didn't know that, it takes up to 3 months sometimes to repair damage the skin barrier. So the skin barrier is actually, well, it's a dead skin, and just because it's dead skin, it doesn't mean that we can remove it. It's a dead skin, and it's there for a reason, to protect the living skin, because we definitely don't want to have a living skin unprotected. So it's very important to have a healthy skin barrier, because that's what actually helps our skin to protect itself from any pathogens entering the living skin. Nail prep to dehydrate the nail. And I'm not going to do any buffing because I don't want to be removing any layers, because this client has nails that are already quite thin, so I don't want to cause any damage. I actually don't use any creams and oils before the polish application, because when you do, then you have a whole bunch of oil and cream in the little crevices, and it's hard to get it out. That also makes the polish sometimes peel from the sides, so I would rather, I guess this is from me doing gels for years and years, because we would never use cream or oil before any gel application, so it kind of stuck with me. And especially with Dazzle Dry, it dries so quickly that you can apply the oil and the cream after. Okay, the Dazzle Dry base coat, always make sure that the base coat is nice and clear. And when it's cooler inside, it sometimes becomes a little almost opaque looking, and it looks thicker. It is thicker. So then just stand it in a bottle of warm water, in a bowl of warm water, and it's going to warm up and it's going to become clear. So Dazzle Dry recommends 2 layers of the base coat, but I don't know, personally I don't think it's necessary. And I use 1 coat, it dries a little bit quicker. And yeah, I've tried the 2 layers and I don't think it makes a big difference, so I just do 1. There are some people that really believe in wrapping free edge, and some people don't, so I'm just really curious what you guys think, or what your experience is. Personally, also I don't find it makes a big difference. Maybe if the nails are longer, but when the nails are shorter, it doesn't make a difference. It's one of those colors that very rarely streaks on people. Some colors that are semi-sheer can be quite streaky. This one doesn't. You always want to make sure that the base coat is fully dry before you put the nail polish on. And why? It's because when you have areas that are still wet, the polish will like stick to it and it becomes very gooey, and you can destroy the nail polish. Because I guess you get some of the base coat that's not dry into the bottle, and it thickens the nail polish or something. So you want to make sure that the base coat has dried to like a nice matte color. and that it dried everywhere. Sometimes on the ends, it's not dry yet. So that's why it's good to turn the nail side to side, look at the line of light if everything is nice and dry. Very often the thumbs, the way clients are holding their hands, sometimes the base coat falls a little bit, flows into the side, and it's not dry. But usually when you are applying the Dazzle Dry, by the time you're done, when you're working on the client, because honestly, if I do my own nails, I just do one hand at a time. So when you are working on the client, it is usually once you finished applying the last nail, the first one is going to be dry. See, this is dry. There is no waiting time, which is awesome. By the way, I recommend, very highly recommend, this color or these type of very light shimmery colors for people that are new to polishing their nails, or you're new to Dazzle Dry if you obviously like the colors, because they are very forgiving. And if you make a little mistake, it's not visible. Okay, this is again dry. You can see that it's a little bit more matte. Okay, so we're gonna give them 5 minutes to dry, and then I'll put oil and the cream. Okay, oil.
So what oil is it?
This is, okay, so my client is asking what oil this is. You know what, the best thing to do is you can mix your own oil. So I recommend using jojoba as your 50% of oil, and then you can add, if your skin is not very dry, if it's actually on the oily side, you can add grapeseed oil, for example. It's very good for the skin. Sunflower oil is also very light, very nice. If you have dry
almond oil.
almond oil is very good for the nails too. But usually,
almond oil
yeah,
is good.
very good for the actual nails. But for the skin around the nails, sunflower is really good. Jojoba is very good. You don't need anything special, because people think that they have to buy like a special cuticle oil.
Yeah.
No, because first of all, I just removed the cuticle. We're taking care of the skin around the nails and the nails. So additional thing, people are asking me if it's beneficial to put the oil when you have polish on. Yes, it is, because we're caring for the skin around the nails too. And to a degree, if you just have one layer of polish, some oils might penetrate through the nail polish a little bit, or it can actually, the oil can benefit the nail polish to keep it nice and flexible when you use it on a regular basis. Once or twice doesn't make a difference, but on a regular basis it does. But your skin is not very dry. No?
But I use cream a lot. I
okay.
don't know, it's psychological thing.
Yeah, same thing with me. Wash my hands, just put a little bit of cream.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But in general, I don't have problem with dryness.
Exactly. It looks your skin looks very like a normal skin. So something like a grapeseed oil or sunflower is very, very good too. They're very light oils. And actually I forgot, but I'll show you, and I'll show you guys how much oil to use, because I just applied a lot, just because, you know, we just did the manicure and now the oil mixes with the cream. But you don't need to use as much. 1 drop is enough for 10 nails. 1 drop. Okay, like this, and then you can even wipe your hands with a towel or whatever. This is it, 1 drop. You don't need more than that, because you're just replacing the oils that you're just washed off. So you don't need that much. Because very often people over apply and they're like, it drives them crazy because their skin is all oily. It doesn't have to be oily. And other two ingredients that I mentioned earlier that are very, very good, I love them, is urea. Because also it exfoliates the skin a little bit. And also some kind of an exfoliant, like a lactic acid. Usually it's very, very gentle for the skin. So usually something like a urea and lactic acid. There's a lot of, Eucerin has it. There's a lot of lotions in pharmacies that you can get that have a lactic acid or even salicylic acid sometimes. And urea. So adding just tiny bit, and I'll show you even too much. Like you can use this much on your hands. After you put the oil or whatever, doesn't matter actually which one goes first. And then you can just use, this is what I do, a little towel to wipe your hands and you're good to go. And you know, it's very important to make that oil application part of your hand washing routine. So you don't have to be like just remembering to put oil on. You don't have to. Just put it on after you've done your hand washing. Okay, thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.